So when I was thinking about my mental health recently, part of the reason why it became so apparent that I need to talk about this was because about a month and a half ago, I got committed to a mental health and rehab facility for 5 days, and I couldn't leave. This is starting off really, really well. Super. And basically what happened, I always put things off. Like, anytime I have a problem, be it financial, emotional, whatever, I always say that's going to be a job for future Levi. I'm a procrastinator. I've went pro at it. I'm not like one of these regular run-of-the-mill procrastinators. I'm pro. And the future is now, apparently, because lately, I don't know if you guys have this. You ever, like, anytime you're up on a stool, like cleaning something or changing a light bulb, you just kind of wish you would have brought some rope with you? So that's kind of been my mode lately. And I don't know why I'm so depressed. Like, I've been depressed as long as I can remember. I was born a straight white man in the South. I should be nailing this shit. Somehow, I'm playing with house money, and I still cannot get this life shit right. I've had therapists who are black, I've had gay therapists, I've had trans therapists, I've had female therapists. Every single one of them has to be looking at me like, dude, seriously. That sounds really hard what you're going through. I cannot believe it. I got yelled at today just for existing, and you're sad about your job not going well. But that's how I am. You know, I'm just kind of going through it. My dad died when I was 14. Hilarious. Classic comedy. My dad, when he died, I was 14 years old. I like to say that he just kind of bitched out because I was finally hitting puberty. I could finally take him in a fight. And he's just like, you know, I'd rather catch chemo radiation than catch those hands. I've heard a lot of people say the best thing you can do for your kids is to love your partner. I don't think that's true at all, because my mom and dad actually loved each other very much. Did not care for me, though. Not big fans of the kid. I would come down, I say come down, we didn't have fucking stairs, we lived in a trailer. I would walk from the other end of the trailer to the kitchen for breakfast and be like, hey, good morning, and then just see my parents both go like, Jesus fucking Christ, this one again. And, you know, it's one thing like if you don't get along with your mom, you don't get along with your dad, but if like both your parents don't like you, it's like, fuck, maybe I'm just a bad person. And that's kind of what I've carried with me ever since then, is that there's this phrase I've heard that I wouldn't treat a dog the way that you treated that person, which is a weird phrase because it implies that you treat dogs poorly. Every dog I know has a way fucking better life than I do. You're basically saying I wouldn't treat a dog the way you treat that person. I wouldn't give him all the head scratchies on the couch. I wouldn't pick up his shit with my hand in a bag that barely separates us. I wouldn't get really emotionally attached to him and then know that one day in the not so distant future he's going to pass away and I'm going to be devastated. I wouldn't do that to him because he's a piece of shit. A lot of dads, they leave their sons things when they die, like a business, some money, family heirlooms. Not my dad. My dad left me alcoholism and a 2001 Ford F-150 regular cab. And the first one definitely led to the end of the second one because I was driving drunk when I was in high school and I flipped it like 3 times. And I like to think my dad was kind of proud though, you know, because he was such a bad alcoholic. I think he was like in heaven and just going, watching me do that, just like, that's my boy. Asking Jesus to turn more water into wine for him, just doing the damn thing. When he was gone, it was just me, my mom, my 2 brothers, and my mom worked 3 jobs. And then she put herself through college while she was doing that online, so she could get her teacher's degree. And I know you're probably thinking, how could she have time to do all that while she was raising 3 boys? The answer is she didn't really put much time into that part at all. Basically, like, I would only see my mom, like, when I would come home from school, I'd see her for a little bit. And I was afraid of my mom, so I'd always pretend to be asleep, which is a weird thing to do, because it's not like they can't just like nudge you awake or just realize that you're faking it. But I like treated my mom like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park. I was like, stay perfectly still. Her vision is tied to movement. And I don't know what it is. I've always been pretty much bummed out, just not feeling well all the time. Which I'm 6 foot tall, I'm a white guy, I'm straight, and I'm a man. But somehow, like, even though black people get killed just for being black, and then gay people, trans people get harassed just for being themselves, I've been like cutting myself and listening to Taking Back Sunday for the last like 20 years. I did used to cut myself a lot, not in like an emo way, I'm just really bad with scissors. No, not really. My mom saw me once, she saw my tattoo that I'd got, and then she saw scars from me cutting, and she was way more upset about the tattoo than that's how you know you got a good one. I've got 2 tattoos now. I've got a tattoo on this arm that says "Keep on loving, keep on fighting," which is supposed to be a mental health tattoo, but it just ended up sounding really sexually aggressive. Just keep on loving, keep on fighting. Okay. So now girls get really scared anytime they see it, which was not the desired effect. And then I have another tattoo on this arm that's a broken bottle, because I'm also an alcoholic. Thank you. So I have a tattoo that reminds me to not be depressed. I have a tattoo that reminds me not to drink. And I don't know how I'm going to remind myself to stop getting shitty tattoos. The other day I was on Facebook, I don't know why, just time traveling really, and I saw a post that said, if you love your mom, repost this, or skip it if you want her dead. And it's been a week, and nothing's happened yet, so fingers crossed. Seems like a scam. My depression's gotten so bad recently that my doctor actually called my mom and told her to make sure I didn't have any weapons at my house. And jokes on both of them, I was hiding my gun under my pillow. And, you know, I was acting like an alt-right psychopath the day after Biden got elected, just had it under there. And you may be thinking, why didn't they look under your pillow? That's because your boy was pretending to be asleep the whole time, like a champion. I love callbacks. I use callbacks a lot because I don't get them in dating. I'm kidding. I actually don't have a gun. When I was going to kill myself, I was going to do it with helium. And if you suffocate yourself with helium, it's painless, it's cheap, it's easy. I know it sounds like I'm trying to sell you on the idea. Don't do it, because if you do, you're going to die with that stupid voice like, "Goodbye, cruel world." Well, I was going through a lot of this stuff. Aliens, apparently, they just said aliens are real. And I realized that doesn't really mean the same thing when you're depressed. Because it's like somebody goes up, "Hey, Levi, did you hear that aliens are real?" Great, are they going to help me stop crying in my shower? Are they going to pay my fucking health insurance? Then I don't care about the aliens. They're visiting our place, that must mean their place isn't much nicer. It's like when you're a kid and your house sucks, so you go to your buddy's house that's just slightly nicer all the time, just to live the life of luxury, because he has running water. I started doing comedy because I knew if I was going to avoid killing myself, but something had to change. And so I decided to do something. I've wanted to do comedy since I was 5 years old. I saw Dave Chappelle do it, and I just thought, you know, that's amazing. This guy's up on stage, he's killing, the crowd is having the best time of their life, they're laughing, and he's just got his words in a microphone. I want to do that one day. Now, I've never done that. I'm still on my way to that, because this shit doesn't always go well. Good example of this. Worst story I've ever had, worst bombing I've ever had doing comedy, it was at a coffee shop. And I don't want to say their name, so I'm going to call it the Nearby Coffee Shop. And it's important for me to know, I was not good at comedy when this story happened. It's not like I was an emerging star and they just shat all over me. That's not what happened. I was bad at comedy. At this point, I've made $25 in the form of a gift card doing comedy. I still 1099'd it, because I don't want to get caught on my taxes. That's how they got Al Capone. You got to be smart. I was not good at comedy, but this place, they call themselves like the Nearby Coffee Shop or something like that, and they pride themselves about being part of the community. So like when this whole thing happened, I went like psycho mode and I started like stalking them. So their website, they have pictures of them in Tennessee football clothes, which just seems like poor judgment to me. Like if you're going to call yourself the Nearby Coffee Shop or something like that, and you're in Athens, maybe don't put that on there. Also on the website, interesting enough, it says we're open to everybody. We're very welcoming. You can be yourself here. Definitely tested those boundaries as this story progresses. Also, they have 12-year-old children that work there. Those are the only people in that place. It's a bunch of 12-year-old children, and I don't know how they got around child labor laws, but they did. And I was about to teach those young ladies a lesson they would not soon forget, which is you can't just give anybody a microphone and a stage. And this place, it's mostly music, and I'd done comedy there one time before this story happened. I did okay, but I made fun of the name of the place. I was talking about how hard it was to Google a place called the Nearby Coffee Shop, because then you're just going to all the coffee shops.
Oh.
I did, and then there was a dog there, and there's no easy way to say this. The dog had huge balls, and I talked about it for a while, and it was uncomfortable, and I think after that, nobody like told me good job or anything. Nobody came up to me and said like great job, you know. It was just kind of quiet. Like people laughed, but it felt like guilty laughs maybe. And the night that things really went off the rails, I was super excited to try new jokes. I was actually going to be talking about my mental health for the first time on stage, and it turns out this is not the show to be doing that at. Because the guy comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, I've only got 3 people signed up. Can you do 30 minutes?
Oh, God.
And this is a week into me doing comedy. I could do about 5 minutes at the time. When in reality, I could do about 3 minutes, but I had this idea that they would laugh for 2 minutes. And so I was like, fuck yeah, I can do 30 minutes, dude, whatever you need. I'll just get up there, and I figured I will just write jokes on the fly and just come up with 30 minutes of comedy. Also, 2 very well-known comedians in town were there at that show. One of them does more improv stuff, but I really wanted to impress him still. And the other one's a friend of mine that had never seen me do comedy before. He just, he shows up late to all the shows, so he always gets there after I've already been on, and we always talk. But he goes, "Hey man, just let me know as soon as you're going on stage, and I'll be there." And I go, "Bet." This was not the show for him to watch me do. Because as soon as he showed up, I started to bomb like instantly. Like it was just that quick. What happened was there was a guy that played music before I went on, and he played that song "Where Did You Sleep Last Night" by Nirvana, which is a super emotional song, a lot of yelling and screaming. And then I get up there like, "Hey guys, aren't selfies weird?" Did not go well from the jump. I was bombing, I was sweating. If you've ever bombed in comedy, the best way I can describe telling a joke that doesn't work is one time I told a girl that I loved her, and then she changed the subject. But that was my mom, so. And I had this idea I was going to talk about suicide and depression. I was speeding up, I was sweating, there was silence, there was gasps. It was bad. They did not like the dark humor that I was coming with, and suddenly those were the only jokes I could think of was like the darkest material I had. And so I just kept digging my hole. Finally, I tell a joke about child pornography. Yes, I have good judgment. This is still happening at a coffee shop. So I tell that, and as soon as I say those words, the barista comes from behind. She goes, "Stop it, you're done, that's enough." And then I made a joke. I was like, "Oh, you guys don't like child pornography?" And that was the reaction I was hoping for. What happened to me was a guy in the audience goes, "No, you're just really bad at this." I know. It was really sad. And then, I don't know if you've ever been fired from something you're doing for free. it's a humbling experience. Then I saw at that moment, I was getting off the stage. Nobody was saying anything. The door's right here by the stage, so I was thinking I could just walk out like so easy right now. I could just escape. But I knew if I did that, I would probably never do stand-up comedy again. And so instead, I did like the Wolf of Wall Street, if you guys have seen that movie, where I'm just like, I'm not fucking leaving. And I went and sat down right in the middle of everybody and made everybody uncomfortable. And if you bomb at stand-up, usually people come up to you and they go, hey, good job. Hey, it's just weird crowd. This time, nobody said anything to me. They just looked at me like I was some sort of museum exhibit that they were trying to figure out. And so I'm hanging out there, and then this guy who I'm good friends with started playing music, really sad, depressing music, and I really liked it. I'm very emotional. I cry a lot. If you get nothing else from this, you'll figure that out. I cry a lot. And I was watching this guy perform, and I just started crying because the music was so sad, and I'm just thinking, everybody thinks I'm a little bitch right now. They think I bombed. Now I'm just weeping openly. And then after that, I'm sitting on a bench outside of Athens, outside of the coffee shop, the nearby coffee shop, we'll call it. And I'm sitting there on the bench. There's homeless people walking around. There's college dropouts walking around drunk. Somehow I'm the saddest thing out there, though. 12:30 at night, I got to work in the morning. I'm just sitting there contemplating my life, contemplating my choices. And I realized that, just because you love something doesn't mean it's always going to love you back. Comedy is a lot like a beautiful horse. I mean, it's great. You get a lot of joy from it. But if you get on the wrong side of that motherfucker, it will kick the shit out of you. And this is one of those experiences. Now, I have to ask, do you guys want to hear the joke that got me canceled before I had a career? Okay. So Coach Bailey was my gym teacher in elementary school. Coach Bailey was a very odd man, and I didn't find out until I was much older that he got arrested for child pornography. Yeah. And I was talking to some of my friends, and they had told me about how he was inappropriate with them. And I just got really, really frustrated about it, got really, really upset about it, really angry, really just mixed feelings, sad, anger. Because I was a really cute kid. And he never did anything to me. And then he got put on suicide watch. Yeah, I mean, because being a child predator is like the worst possible thing you could be. Like if Hitler met a child predator, he'd be like, dude, this piece of shit just walked up to me. This is the worst thing. So I put him in a straitjacket, which I thought was weird because, I mean, he had only ever done anything, and all the stuff was all boys, right? So you would think it would be a gay jacket. Which normally is one of the best things ever because gay people have great style. A gay jacket would be one of the coolest jackets you could own. This is a gay jacket. But that's what got me canceled before I had a career. Definitely, this is only the second time I've ever told that joke because the first time went so great that I just retired it. But not long after that, I got to do comedy at the Laughing Skull in Atlanta, which is a comedy club. It's a really great place to do comedy. And they told me when I signed up, they said, you can pay $20 and you can get a copy of your set. And I'd seen myself do comedy, and it is not worth $20 for 4 minutes of me doing stand-up. And I was like, dude, if I just give you $25, can you give me somebody else's set, and I'll just pretend it was me. But $20 for 4 minutes, that's $5 a minute. That's $300 an hour, you guys. Nobody's gonna pay there's nothing I can do for you that's gonna be worth $300 an hour. I know escorts, I would say that's a ridiculous price. But I was walking Atlanta afterwards, I was just terrified. I get scared in Atlanta, and I feel like racial reasons, I'm just kind of a bumpkin. Just kind of a hill person, really. Not really comfortable in the big city. And it's weird because people in Atlanta are usually really friendly, they're really nice. They would come up to me like, hey man, do you need help? And I was like, no man, I'm homeless. I live here, dog. And then I was walking, I had to go, my car was parked in a parking garage. And basically every parking garage that you go into at night just feels like you're at the end of a horror movie. And so I was walking to it, I had to walk up these stairs. I'm thinking best case scenario, I get robbed. Worst case scenario, I get decapitated. Somebody just cuts my head off. That was a realistic possibility to me, but I walk up to these stairs and it was like a level of a video game. Every stair got a little bit creepier. First thing I see is a half-eaten thing of takeaway sushi. And it was, part of me was like, that's really cool that this homeless gentleman or lady is branching out culturally and eating different things. But that was quickly replaced by the thought of somehow some demon has impregnated their stomach halfway through eating this gas station sushi that they had to run and take care of the situation. And what happens if they come back and they think I'm going for the rest of the sushi? Now I have to fight this man? You know, loser lives in the parking garage, winner gets my life. Sometimes there's two losers, folks. So I see that. Next step, I see an empty pack of cigarettes. Next step, there's like a brown paper bag, looks like it's from a liquor store. Next step, there's like a broken bottle. And it just gets creepier and creepier every step. Then the top of the stairs, I see the creepiest thing of all, a broom. Somebody could have been cleaning up this whole fucking place. Laziness is the scariest thing of all. But finally I get up to my car, and I could not get my car fast enough. I like slithered into it, basically. And then I realized right away that I'm gonna have to stop and get gas. I'm out of gas. Yeah, I like to gamble, so I like to just get as close to the end as I can. And if there's one place that's scarier than a parking garage at night in Atlanta, it's a gas station at night in Atlanta, because that's where the people shoot. Well, that place in schools. But this was summer, so school was out, so I was double jeopardy. I saw a 5-year-old walking in there with an Uzi just sticking out of his pocket like, mister, I wouldn't go in there if I was you. I'm like, fuck, all right. But it was really jarring for me, because I don't know if you've ever been, like, if you've ever felt unsafe because of the color of your skin. Like, I know a lot of you guys probably haven't experienced that, but it happened to me. But then a really nice police officer came and picked me up and drove me home, all the way from Atlanta to Athens, because double standards, you know? The thing about me is I'm trying to be a little bit better every day. Like this morning, I tried to get almost all of the pee into the toilet. Yeah, I'm at that place. I gotta start small, guys. I can't be reaching for these big goals. And that's a joke. I sit down when I pee because I'm a feminist. I'm an ally, ladies. I do have this theory, though, I came up with recently, that people who are depressed are just living the free trial version of life. And people that aren't depressed, they pay for the premium membership. The free trial doesn't work very well, and it's pretty shitty most days, and there's all kinds of just interruptions in life. But you're not paying anything. But you don't have much to live for. It's kind of the opposite side of that. And because of that, I've done a lot of therapy. Because nothing makes you feel like people care about you like paying them $150 an hour to listen to you. And I tell people this all the time. If you ever think a therapist is really your friend, it's a lot like a stripper. Just ask them if they'll do it for free. And that will be the end of that conversation. And you know, like, therapists, they have to talk shit about people when they're not with them. I mean, they're out with their friends, they're like, yeah, I had this guy in my office, Levi, he cried like a bitch for 45 minutes. Cha-ching. If you cry during therapy, you're not getting your money's worth. You're not. I mean, they try to make you cry because they can just sit there and like play games on their phone or whatever, and just wait till you finish up. If you want free therapy, I figured this out, you can call the suicide hotline. Because they have to talk to you, you know? They can't hang up. And sure, you might be taking care away from people that might actually need it, but somebody was rude to me today at work, and I need to voice that to somebody. Lately, every time I go to the therapist, basically what they do is they just prescribe me different antidepressants. Anybody here on antidepressants? That's a really sad woo. I'm actually on 2 different antidepressants and 2 different mood stabilizers. You guys jealous? I take the highest dose of all these medications, and the doctors, I think what they said is I was too funny before I started taking them. Like, we gotta chill this guy out a little bit. He's gonna be the next Don Rickles. We gotta curb him up a little bit. It's like, what are you gonna do? But they always say it takes like a couple weeks for the medications to take effect, which I think is their way of just saying, hey, just don't bother us for a while. We need a little bit of space. But now every time I go, they prescribe me these different cocktails of antidepressants. Like, I got 25 milligrams of Lexapro, 300 milligrams of Wellbutrin. And it's like every conversation I have with my doctor ends with them going, you know what, I think you just need more pills. That's the answer. And I'm like, is that going to stop me from crying for no reason during the day? Oh yeah, it'll stop everything eventually. One time I actually slipped up. I told my doctor that I was going through a 5th of vodka every other day. And apparently that's too much to drink. And he goes, instead of like, I thought he'd be disappointed, but I think in reality, I just saw the dollar signs going off in his head, like liver transplant on the way. I can finally take that cruise to the south of France that I've been wanting to do. And he goes, Levi, you know your antidepressants will probably work a lot better if you just drank like a normal person every day. And I like that, just the idea of a normal person that drinks every single day. Like, I read online, you're not supposed to drink with antidepressants at all. And my doctor's just like, let's set some reasonable goals. I got a call from my therapist's office the other day saying that I didn't pay my bill. And I'm going to pay it. But I thought about, what if I just didn't? Like, you can repossess a car and you can repossess furniture. I don't know if you can repossess therapy. Like, if I just don't pay it, are they going to send somebody just to make fun of me until I feel bad again? They're just going to repossess my joy. My therapist and a lot of other people have told me that if you go outside, it'll help your depression. If you go outside, enjoy the nature. And I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Because I don't know if you've ever seen a homeless person. They're outside all day. They don't seem happy to me. I fucking hate being outside, guys. I hate it. It makes my balls sweat just thinking about it. It's terrible. I think it's the worst thing. Have you been inside? Inside is amazing. Inside is the best. Inside is like, we take shit from inside and put it outside. That's how great inside is. Like, we take rugs and chairs and patio furniture and fucking kitchens. We just throw it all outside. Nobody's sitting inside their house just going, man, could really use some more outdoors in here. Get me as many bugs as you can find and turn that AC off. I'm trying to get outdoorsy in here. You don't have to just ask homeless people. You can ask animals. Go ask a dog, a cat. Ask them, see if they'd rather be an indoor cat, an outdoor cat. You guys are looking at me like you don't talk to animals. I'm a Dr. Dolittle guy, okay? I actually love the Eddie Murphy Dr. Dolittle movies, but I think it's fucked up they called him Dr. Dolittle. Like, Dolittle, he's a doctor and he talks to animals. He is doing the most that you can do. They made a Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Dolittle movie recently. Did anybody see that? I still haven't met anybody that's seen it. But it's like 3% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, it is a giant piece of shit. And I think there's no coincidence that after that, Marvel just killed him off of the Marvel Universe immediately. They're like, this guy's making terrible decisions. He's going to sink the whole franchise. Let's get rid of him. Like I said at the top of the show, I spent 5 days at a mental health and rehab facility, which people ask me what it was like. It's a lot like a hotel, but you have a schizophrenic roommate. So it's like a motel, really. They told me when I was there that alcoholism is a disease. You have a disease, Levi, And I like that because now I can use that as an excuse for people like, hey man, I'm sorry I fucked your girlfriend and shaved your cat. I'm just so goddamn sick. I said that backwards. I'm sorry I shaved your girlfriend and fucked your cat. I'm just really sick. Like really, really sick. I also found out while I was in there that I'm bipolar, which I should have known that for a while because I've been attracted to male and female polar bears for as long as I could remember. Just didn't want to put a label on it, really. Just me and a couple polar bears, different genders, some Coke. You decide what kind of Coke. And I had to do an outpatient visit because they don't just like turn you loose and go out there, boy, just live your best life. They want you to come back once in a while. So I came back and basically there was when I went there, the place opens at 9, so 8:45 there's just me and like 15 other psychopaths just walking around, talking to themselves or watching Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Dolittle on their phone, just doing crazy shit. Finally I get inside the place and every like couple minutes while I'm waiting, there's this guy that just keeps getting up and opening the door going, hey, Dave! Like every 5 minutes. And I'm the only one that's looking at the guy. I'm thinking, I'm sitting there waiting for my medication. I'm going, am I that fucking crazy that I'm just imagining this guy? Because nobody's paying me attention, least of all Danny. And he just keeps getting up going, Danny! And I'm like, all right, I guess this is just my life now. Finally, he gets up to do the last time. He goes, hey, Dave! Shit, Danny fucking quit yesterday. I forgot, man. It's like, I guess Danny didn't put in his 2 weeks notice at this mental health facility. I don't think anybody puts in 2 weeks notice there. I think it's just, you just get fed up one day and you just go, fuck it, and just leave. Lately, because of my alcoholism, I had to do a new system where I give all of my debit and credit cards to a friend. That way I can't buy alcohol while I'm out, which is a cool system, but I was in Madison County, Georgia recently, which is the middle of nowhere. And while I was there, I realized once again I was almost out of gas. Surprise, surprise. And I remembered that I have Apple Pay. And so I went to a gas station in Madison County, Georgia, the most enlightened place on earth. And there was a woman in her probably mid-50s working the place. And I walk in, I go, have my phone on, and go, hey, do you guys take this? And she just looks at me, she goes, no sir, we don't take phones. Yep, answered my question. I hate minor inconveniences like that. Like anything that's that small will just send me into a depressive spiral. Like a lot of horror movies start like that, right? There's like they're out of gas, their car is broken down, their phone's not working, they don't have service. There's always like a couple of things that are going on. And I just thought, man, if that many things happen to me back to back to back, I would just be hoping somebody would come along and murder me. Like I'm at that point of suicide where I'm like, if I have like that many minor inconveniences and a guy comes up with a hockey mask and a machete, I'd be like, thank God you're here. I don't have any service and my car's out of gas. I can't be outdoors. Does anybody here have kids? Just one person. Y'all don't want any fuck trophies? What is going on? That's what kids are, really. I mean, it proves that you got laid at least once, right? So what? Mine was a hand job, and my daughter looks a lot like my neighbor Sherman. It still happened. I'm just kidding. My neighbor's name is Bill. My daughter's 3 years old now, which means she eats toddler food, which means I basically eat like a depressed toddler. Like I binge drink Capri Suns and just like I eat Teddy Grahams all day like a motherfucker. I always eat the legs off the Teddy Grahams. That way they can't leave me like everybody else does. My daughter she's the light of my life. She actually makes me really happy. It's one of the things that makes me truly happy is being a dad. I didn't think it would make me that happy, but it did. I want to talk about being a dad, then I want to talk about a couple things that I thought would make me happy that didn't. A couple of those being alcohol and sex, but being a dad like really changes you a lot. Like people say it changes you in sappy ways, like you love in a way that you'd never loved before, or you find this clarity. For me, my weather app just became the most used app on my phone. That's how I knew I was a dad. Something about being a father just makes you want to be like outdoors away from everybody. This is the first time in my life I ever want to be outside. But also on the weather app, I noticed that they tell you what the air quality is. And the other day I was looking at my phone and it said the air quality is 103 and sensitive groups should stay indoors. Which basically translates to, if you're a bitch, don't go outside. The weather app is very mean, you guys. As a parent, I'm always paranoid about messing up my daughter. I feel like I'm constantly worried about keeping her off drugs and off the pole when she gets older. Life with the daughter is like a 20-year game show that sucks. It's basically like, will your child become a doctor or a crack addict? The other day, I have an e-bike, an electric bicycle, because I'm that level of white now. And I pull her behind on this thing I call a chariot. She sits in the back of it, and we have the best time in the world. But I can always picture one day she's going to be talking to her therapist like, yeah, my dad was a real piece of work. He had a bicycle he wouldn't even pedal, and he used to pull me in a trailer. But having kids is weird. It's like this beautiful, vulnerable, helpless being, and they're being brought into this dark and horrible, like twisted world, and it's all your fault. And kids, they just like they cry like all the time, which is something that people know about kids. My daughter has woken up crying at least once per night, pretty much every night of her life. And it's almost like she's a Vietnam War veteran, and she's just waking up every night going, you haven't seen the things I've seen. You didn't go through what I went through in the jungle. And I'm like, honey, that was a park, and the last time I told you you can't climb in that fountain for your own safety. Whatever, Nixon. She's also a bully. She bullies me a lot. She's not good with pronouns. So all the time she goes, she'll be talking to somebody, she goes, yeah, she was playing with me earlier, and she'll point to me. And I go, honey, I'm a boy. It's he. And she goes, you act like a little girl. Yeah. I'm a girl dad, right? Like I'm really protective of my daughter, but ultimately, like, what am I gonna do? Like if somebody just decided they were gonna take her, I mean, I would do my best, but I'm gonna have to make a few phone calls. Like I'm the opposite of Liam Neeson. I'm like a Liam Neeson, is basically what it is. I might be new fashion. Some people treat their daughters like their property. I think that's really fucked up. Like they try to scare people that like ask their daughter out, and it's like, to me, she's gonna scare the shit out of them by herself. And I don't really have to do that much work there. But if you're a guy, you've probably had a moment where you've tried to like impress a girl's dad or her parents. It's like you're auditioning for the role of boyfriend. And it's just like, why am I trying to impress you? You know how fucking crazy your daughter is. You should be the one trying to impress me and get me to take her off your hands. But it's funny, like when a dad like tries to intimidate you and you like have to like pretend to be like a little scared, even though they're like a 50-year-old guy that's out of shape. It's like, really, if we were gonna fight, this probably wouldn't go well for you, but you have to like feed his ego a little bit. You know, my mom was in a shotgun wedding. Like literally her dad brought a shotgun to the wedding, and he did it as like a joke. But, you know, it's like an old school thing. And, you know, the best weddings are always the ones that are forced, I've found. My daughter just recently started lying. She didn't lie like a normal person. She lies like a psychopath. Like the other day I was sitting on the couch, I was watching TV with her, Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something like that. And while we're sitting there, I go, honey, tell me if you got to go potty. And she goes, no, I don't have to. And I go, okay. And like 20 minutes go by, I say, honey, do you have to go potty? She goes, no, and I'm not going to tell you again. Just the balls. Of course, 5 minutes later, we're sitting there, and my couch is soaking wet with piss. I'm at that place where like the people and the animals that live in my house are just constantly ruining all the cool shit I buy. And so I go, honey, I thought you said you didn't have to go potty. She goes, no, that's not pee, that's juice. Like, honey, you didn't have any juice. And she goes, yeah, I know, because I spilled it all. And then I asked, I said, honey, why does it smell like pee then? She goes, that's why I spilled it, it was yucky. And I don't know if I was proud of her in that moment or more frustrated, but I do think she has a bright future in politics. She's got this new doll that I bought her. It's a baby doll and it talks, but she doesn't know what to say to it to make it talk back. So she always goes, I love you, baby doll. And she says this 700 times a day. I don't want her to feel bad, so I always pretend to be the doll and I go, I love you too, Nova. And then the doll looks at me and is like, dude, don't fucking put words in my mouth. Recently she'd heard about self-driving cars, and now anytime we're driving, she always asks me, she goes, Daddy, does your car drive itself? And I have to tell her about how we're poor. And I go, no, honey, it does not. And then she always goes, like she's picturing life with a better family. And it's like, really, this 3-year-old's gonna really judge me based off how much money I have? But then I looked at my bank account and I realized how much debt I have. And I'm like, she technically does have more money than I do. Because she has $0. I have way less than $0. Like, I would kill to be at $0 right now. But I was driving to her grandparents' house one day, and I was drinking a Red Bull because I'm an extreme athlete. And she goes, Daddy, can I have some of that drink? And I go, no, honey, this is an adult drink. Because a couple of reasons. For one, she's already a demon. I'm not going to give her wings and turn her into a gargoyle. Not going to do that. Also, it wasn't that long she was drinking off of her mom for free, and Red Bulls are like $5 a can. And we are poor, so. But I'm driving, and I finally get to the grandparents' house, and as soon as we get out, her grandfather goes, hey, how was the drive over? And she goes, Daddy was drinking and driving. And I go, it was a sports drink. She goes, no, Daddy, you said it was an adult drink. And then I looked to the doll, I was like, dude, and the doll's like, dude, don't bring me in the middle of your shit. I have, she does make me happy, and I think I've always wanted to make me happy that didn't was sex. I feel like I'm an undiagnosed sex addict, which basically just means I'm a pervert. As I've gotten older, I get turned on by really weird things. Like, now I can only get an erection if all the notifications are cleared on my phone. Something about those little red numbers in the corner just makes my ween soft. So if I'm going to have sex with an unfortunate young lady, I have to then pull out my phone and clear all the notifications, like check my email and shit. Which they really like that when you do that. I don't know if you know that. It like really, really gets them going. So what I usually do is I go to the bathroom and do it, and I'm just in there checking my email and all my unread notifications. The other day I was going to make love at night because I'm a Christian, and I think that's when you're supposed to do it. Sometimes I say things that are just too dumb for me. But I open up my phone, I clear my notifications, I open the weather app because it's my favorite, and I see it's 69 degrees outside, just instantly erect. And it's not because it's a sexy number, it's just I can only have sex at 69 degrees because anything hotter than that and it gets sweaty and gross, because I'm a bigger guy, and anything colder than that and shrinkage becomes an issue for me. I lost my virginity when I was 13 years old. It's pretty cool. That's when you're supposed to do it, I think. That's when they recommend it. But no, I was 13 years old. I was old enough to see the Barbie movie in theater, so I just figured I was old enough for love. Barbie's PG-13, by the way. Oh. Scary things around me are starting to freak me out a little bit. But you have to, if you're in Georgia public school, you have to kind of start early, because anything later than 13, and then you have to find babysitters for your kids, and it's just a whole thing. But I started school a little bit early, so I was 13 and she was 14, and it was a very romantic story. I took her out to the woods behind my house on a four-wheeler. That's a creepier sentence than it really is. I took this 14-year-old girl back behind my house on a four-wheeler. I was 13 at the time, thankfully. But what made it even worse was there was all these dogs that lived around my house, and I don't know whose dogs they were, they just kind of existed there. And they were just barking at us the whole time because they don't like the four-wheeler. So if you can picture it, my first time losing my virginity, I was on a four-wheeler, 13 years old, dogs barking at us in the woods behind my house, and it was way hotter than 69 degrees. Just gross. Terrible. But that's how it happened. And I never really got much better at sex. I'm really bad at it still. The other day I saw an article on my phone that was titled, "Everyone is having bad sex, here's why." And I just thought, thank God. I thought I was the only one. You just think people are out there in the major leagues and you're playing t-ball, but in reality we're all out here struggling. Does anybody here, y'all masturbate at work? Sometimes. Okay. This is part of how I know I have an issue. I've masturbated at every job I've had at least once. And I don't do it just because I'm a pervert. I mean, that is true. But I just do it anytime I'm thinking about quitting my job. Because, if you go masturbate in the bathroom, that post-nut clarity is kind of like, you know what? This place isn't that bad. It's all right. The next thing that I used to try to use to make me happy was drinking. I've started a couple sets lately by saying I'm Levi and I'm an alcoholic. And I can always tell who's been in the program, because who's been in AA, because they'll go, "Hi, Levi," because if you've ever been to a meeting, that's how it goes. But I was sober for a long time. I was actually sober for 10 years, and I started drinking again recently. I started drinking cocktails at nice restaurants and things like that when I go out to dinner. And then I decided I would make my own cocktails at home, which turned into, why do I need these extra ingredients? Vodka's fine on its own, which then turned to me drinking Everclear every day. And if you've never had Everclear, it's a lot like just wishing you were dead every day when you drink it. People that drink Everclear do not make long-term plans. Nate, back me up.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
That shit's-
It's fucking terrible. It's basically rubbing alcohol. But it's really cool, families will pass down stuff. My family did that with drinking, right? My grandfather drank, my dad drank, and they would fight all the time and they would get drunk. And it was really sad, but the happy part of it is me and my brother would make bets on who was going to win with Pokemon cards. And then we'd parlay who was going to start crying first and who was going to piss their pants first. I was actually reading about alcohol, and if you go to an alcohol website, you have to be 21 years old just to read about alcohol. Why would you want kids to learn how to drink responsibly? That would just be terrible. The only way you learn about alcohol really is by drinking a lot of it. Before I drank a lot of alcohol, I didn't realize I could pee myself and cry at the same time. I also didn't realize that I learned that if you drink all of your parents' vodka and then you refill it with water, they're going to be really, really mad at you. Has anybody here ever gotten so drunk you thanked a Boy Scout for his service? Just me? Okay. What's even worse than that, I tried to buy cookies off a Marine in uniform one time. Give me some of them Samoas. I don't know whose idea it was to put mirrors behind bars, but they're either an idiot or a genius. Because if you see yourself after having 5 vodka sodas, you're going to feel like an absolute mess of a human being. And it's either going to make you drink more or it's going to make you leave. For me, it always made me drink more. And I'm an alcoholic, which is weird to say because I always had this secret relationship with alcohol. Me and vodka would be in my ear going, "Hey, we can have a quickie in the bathroom. No one will even have to know about it." But everybody knows. And recently, when I found out I was a really bad alcoholic, it was on 4th of July this year. And I had a lot of free time because there wasn't anything going on. And if I have free time, that means I'm going to drink. And I was sitting there. I hate holidays, like I always have. I think holidays are smug. Like they think they're better than regular days. And I hate 4th of July especially because I just think it's stupid. I think fireworks are dumb. And that's a really unpopular opinion. But I just think the act of just sitting there looking at the sky like, oh wow, what color is this one gonna be? Oh, it's red. That one's white. Oh, I wonder what the last one's gonna be. I just think it's stupid. I always have, and it's 4th of July, and I was trying to figure out where I was gonna go. My family wouldn't do anything because they love me, and finally I was like, okay, I'll go to this place. It's open until like 9 o'clock. So I went there, and it's also a restaurant. So I ordered like 3 vodka sodas, and then I ordered like a whole thing of macaroni and cheese, which is kind of like what a 12-year-old would do if they were going to go out drinking. So finally they kicked us all out, they closed. Then I walked to a liquor store, which is pretty close by, and the guy working at the liquor store had a shirt on that said, "I hate this job," which is a weird thing, especially the shirt was a tank top, which is just like, if you can wear a tank top to work, how bad can it really be? But he sells me a couple bottles of vodka, and I'm walking to my car after that. I have paper bags of vodka, and as I'm walking away from the liquor store, I hear someone yell, "Hey, motherfucker," which is never a good thing. It's never like, "Hey, motherfucker, I like those shoes." So that happens. I turn around, and because I was the only motherfucker, I looked around, there was nobody else. I turn around, and this guy's got a knife. And he goes, "Give me the bag." And I go, "No." Not just because I'm an alcoholic, but also because this was a really shitty knife. Like if you would have saw it, like it looked like if your mom had a steak knife, but she was a vegetarian. Like it had a wooden handle. It looked like the only way he could cause any damage, I would have to sit still and he would just sit there and saw at me for a while. So I'm like, "No, dude." I called him dude. He wasn't ready for that either. Like he should have been embarrassed for bringing this knife out in public. And you realize you have a problem if you're willing to kill somebody for alcohol, but if you're willing to die for alcohol, which is where I was, so I go, "No," and he just goes, "I didn't think you'd say that." And we just kind of looked at each other for a little bit, and then he just left. Like that was it. And the cops show up a little bit after that, and they're talking to me. And this cop was about 12 years old, I think. Like he looked like he was getting ready to lose his virginity, basically. But he's talking to me, and I guess he realized that he wasn't getting any information out of me. So he goes, "Okay, man, just be safe going home. You're not driving, are you?" I go, "Psh, no, I wouldn't drive." Then I walk immediately to my car. And I sit in the driver's seat. Well, first I put the alcohol in my daughter's car seat, buckle it up real nice, just make sure it's safe. I sit in the driver's seat. The guy pulls up with his lights on. He goes, "Dude, I thought you said you weren't going to drive." He called me dude. "Dude, I thought you said you weren't going to drive." And I go, "What? I'm not going to drive. There's people with knives out here. I'm just waiting for my Uber." He bought it. Because once again, I think it was his first day on the force. So he goes, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." He leaves. I wait about 5 minutes. Of course, turn my car on, start driving. And it's important when you're drunk. Don't drink and drive, people. If you don't get anything else from this, don't drink and drive. It's horrible. But if you do, make sure you have some really good music to listen to while you're doing it. And I had "Rich Girl" by Hall & Oates was playing, which is one of my all-time favorite songs. So I'm just listening, having the time of my life. I don't live too far away, so I'm pulled up to this red light, which is really dampened my mood because this light was red as the devil's dick. I mean, it was aggressively red. And I'm just sitting there at the red light, and then the song "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen comes on. And almost like it was choreographed, a cop car pulls up right next to me. And I'm sitting there, it's going, "Don't stop me now, don't stop me, don't stop me." And I'm sitting there just like, okay, if I don't look at him, he can't see me. It's a lot like the approach I use with my mom. But finally, I do look over, and it's the same fucking cop from before. And I shit you not, he looks at me dead in the windows of my soul and goes, and just lets me drive home, which is really good police work, I think. I mean, I think that's what they teach you at the academy, I'm pretty sure. If somebody's drunk and they're driving, let them go if they're listening to Queen. That's the whole thing. You don't want to ruin their night. They're having the time of their life. I actually have a buddy who's a cop. His name's Randy, and he told me the other day, he goes, hey man, if you ever need anything, just call me. I'm like, dude, that's your fucking job. Like, who else am I going to call? My buddy Terry that works at a coffee shop? Like, help, I'm getting mugged. I need a macchiato right now. So I don't know if all cops are bastards or not, but my friend Randy definitely is. But I get home. Before I get home, I'm sitting there, I'm listening to, good music on the radio. I've got a stomach full of vodka and macaroni and cheese. I'm seeing the fireworks go off in the distance, and I've never felt more American in that moment. Because I'm free, I'm free. And then I go home and I do something that I thought about doing for a while. I go to pour all the liquor I have in my house down the drain. And before I do it, I just go, nope, that's going to be a problem for future Levi. Set it over here. But don't drink and drive. Thankfully, I didn't hurt anybody, and it all ended up okay. But one of the things I've noticed about going through all this shit, about going through therapy and AA meetings and being institutionalized, is that these problems are problems that like everybody faces. These are not just things that happen to me or people that look like me. All kinds of people. I've seen every race, religion. I've seen every sexual orientation you can find. It doesn't matter. People are suffering from mental health and or addiction in pretty much every circle of life, which is weird because we stigmatize it. We don't talk about it, which is just the craziest thing to me because it's something everybody has the capability of going through. So the fact that I have genital herpes should not be a big deal. You guys were so close to just. But no, I'm in a good place right now, and that could change tomorrow. But right now, right this second, as we all breathe the same weed and patchouli-filled air together, I'm in a good place, and I'm doing the work. It sucks, it sucks so fucking much right now being sober, but it's important. And you know what, drinking is great, but what's even better is not crying in the shower every night. And so I think future Levi is actually going to have some pretty cool stuff going on. Thank you, guys. That's it. Thank you so much. A couple of things. Make sure you guys get a drink and tip Sky. She is the best person. I have some stickers here. I was going to sell them, but I realized who's going to buy a fucking sticker with my face on it. Anybody that wants a sticker with my face on it, feel free to grab as many of them. You can put them in bathroom stalls, next to glory holes, whatever you want. Also, I have my Cash App set up right here. Nobody's obviously being charged to be here, but if you feel like you want to do something, I've got my Cash App and my Venmo, so you can scan that if you do feel like donating something. It's all going to go back to my comedy, and I've got some business cards with my Instagram. If you want to hand out any of those to anybody, I really appreciate it. Y'all give it up for Julian Merritt again, everybody. She was so good. I really enjoyed it. And thank y'all again so much. It means the world to me that you're here, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You want to turn the music down?
It's going right on my water bottle. All over the place. Hell yeah. Killer scent. I have to put one of these on the air.
Yeah, you should.